We can further enhance the created and received offered list by denominating the amount of the offered token. Since this is raw data coming from the API, the amount is not denominated. So let's do that by creating two new helpers. The first one we want to create is the getTokenInfo. First thing, we create the getTokenInfo method. This will be an async method since we retrieve token data from MultiversX API. We'll accept the token ID as a parameter, and we'll return a promise of type iToken, which we'll create shortly. Let's define our types also. So for that, we'll create a new folder named Types. And we will define our iToken interface. We would expect the following parameters: an identifier, a type, which will be token types and which we'll define shortly, a name, ticker, the number of decimals of the token. This we will use to denominate the token. Balance, nonce, which is optional for NFTs or SFTs, and collection. Same, it is optional for NFTs or SFTs. Now we can define our token's type enum. And these are our token types. Now we can import the token type interface, and we can start writing the logic of our get tokens. So, first thing we want is to have a kind of a local storage caching, since we don't want to go to the network every time we want to take some token information. And for that, we will take advantage of the local storage. And we will retrieve some cache tokens from the local storage. Let's also define a token storage key. That we can use to get the items under this key. We will create a variable, this time, of a cache token object. Which will be of type index string iToken. For now, this object is empty. Then, we can use try-catch to set the cached tokens object. By parsing the cached tokens from the local storage. So, if this operation fails, then we will do nothing. There's just one small typo there. So, if this operation fails, we will do nothing. And we can go further and check if cache tokens object of token ID. I have a small typo here. Okay, so if we find any cache tokens, then we will return the cache token object. If not, we can go further. And again, use try-catch. This time, we define our token data and make an Axios call to the API. It will return an iToken. Since we are retrieving this data from the MultiversX API, we should also add it to our config. So let's do that. And the endpoint will be tokens, and token ID as a parameter. Alright, now that we have our token data from the API, What we would like to do is to store it in the cache token object. We will set it in the local storage. Of course, we will stringify it. And we will return the cached object token. In case of error, we can just return some default data, like the type can be fungible, the name will be the token ID, the ticker, also the token ID, identifier token ID, decimals, it would be 18 by default. That would be the default value, and we will set balance to 0, because this is unknown information. Now that we have a way to get tokens, the token information, and also have a caching system for the tokens, we can go ahead and make another helper function. We will call that format by token ID. And this function will receive as a parameter a token ID. An amount. And a Boolean parameter, whether to show the name, the ticker of the token, or not. And this is by default true. So, we will make use of the helper that we have just built to get the token data. This is an async method, and we will return the promise. And we will return. Let's make another constant formatted amount. We will make use of the format amount of SDK-DAP that we can find in utils operations. And this function takes as input the amount in decimals, which are under token data, decimals. Now we can return the formatted amount, and also we can add the ticker or the token ID in case it doesn't exist, based on the showName flag. So if showName is true, then we will display the token data ticker. Or the token ID. If the ticker doesn't exist, or nothing. If the showName flag is false. Now that we have our format by token ID helper, we can change our focus to our use offers hook. And as we can see, here we have the offered payment amount and token identifier, which is always a fungible token, an ESDT. And we have the accepted payment, which is always an NFT. We will only need to format this amount and display it right here. So in order to do that, we will use the newly created function. And we will pass the identifier and the amount, and we can delete the previous values. It looks like there is an error. Let's see. Right, we need to use the await keyword here because it is an async function. And we also need to make the create elements an async function as well. Now, if we revisit our page, we can see the amount of the offered tokens is correctly formatted.